Hello, and welcome to the Between the Lines podcast. My name is Janine. I'm a clerk at the Winkler branch of South Central Regional Library.
And I'm Jess. I'm the branch administrator of the Lacore Library. So, in this podcast, what we do is, each book we break it up into two parts. The first part, we read the first half of the book, judge the cover, discuss why we chose the book that we did, and any predictions we have for the next half of the book. And then the second part, we, of course, read the second half of the book and discuss how we liked it, if we thought that it changed too much, too little. So basically, our reasoning for doing this is, I don't know about you guys, I sometimes like the book a lot less by the time I finished it, as opposed to halfway through. Or you like the book a lot more. The ending makes a lot of difference in terms of your final impressions of the book. So we thought it'd be interesting to get our impressions halfway through. There will be spoilers. We'd like to remind you that we are very opinionated, but all our opinions are just opinions. If you like the book and we don't like the book, totally fine. Vice versa. If we like the book and you think it's awful, by all means, comment, let us know. But it is all just opinion-based, and it's all good fun. And with that, we get into the book.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Between the Lines podcast. I'm Janine. I'm a library clerk at the Winkler branch of the South Central Regional Library.
And I'm Jess. I am the branch administrator of the Winkler branch of the South Central Regional Library. So basically with this podcast, what we do is we pick a book, shocking I know, and rather than reading the entire book and discussing it at the end, we split it up into three parts. First part is we discuss what the book is about, the basic summary, basically what you get on the back cover. We judge the front cover, and we basically discuss why we picked the book. So after that, we read the first half of the book and discuss what our first impressions of the book. Do we like it so far? Do we not like it so far? And any predictions we have for the second part of the book. Part 3 is we have read the rest of the book and kind of, do we like how it ended? Do we not like how it ended? Any surprises or twists that we've come across? Yeah, so that's the basic format, because I don't know about you guys, but my impressions at the beginning of a book and my impressions at the end of a book are generally quite different. Halfway through, you still have hope that the book's going to be good. Sometimes that is actually true when the second half of the book turns out to be awesome. And sometimes it's really, really not. So that's why we're doing the format the way it is. Yes, so for this episode, we are doing the book Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and
Jay Kristoff.
Jay Kristoff, yes. So, Janine, do you want to read the summary?
Sure. So, the year is 2380, and the graduating cadets of Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. Star pupil Tyler Jones is ready to recruit the squad of his dreams, but his own boneheaded heroism sees him stuck with the dregs nobody else in the academy would touch. A cocky diplomat with a black belt in sarcasm, a sociopath scientist with a fondness for shooting her bunkmates, a smartass tech whiz with the galaxy's biggest chip on his shoulder, an alien warrior with anger management issues, a tomboy pilot who's totally not into him, in case you were wondering, and Ty's squad isn't even his biggest problem. That'd be Aurora G. Lynn O'Malley, the girl he's just rescued from interdimensional space. Trapped in cryosleep for 2 centuries, Ori is a girl out of time and out of her depth. But she could be the catalyst that starts a war millions of years in the making, and Tyler's squad of losers, discipline cases, and misfits might just be the last hope for the entire galaxy. They're not the heroes we deserve. They're just the ones we could find. Nobody panic.
Yes. It is science fiction, in case you couldn't tell from that. And it's a young adult book. There is 3 books in the series. All of them have been published. The series is called the Aurora Cycle. First book is Aurora Rising, of course. Second book, Aurora Burning, and book 3, Aurora's End. So, yeah, a little about the authors. Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff also teamed up to write the Illuminate File series, which I would highly recommend you read. It is very interesting in terms of format. We will be doing it later on the podcast, but it is like no book I've ever read before. So, I'll leave it at that.
Unless I decide I've had enough science fiction after this book. We'll see. No,
I'm
just
pretty
kidding.
sure I can talk you into it.
Probably. You talked me into this one, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that brings us to why did we pick the book Aurora Rising, and that's because I thought it would be a good idea.
Yeah, Jess made me do it.
I quite like science fiction, especially young adult science fiction. I find it's got a good mix of character and plot development. Oftentimes, the adult science fiction is sweeping epic series, and as much as I'd love to get into them, I don't have that kind of time. So YA science fiction tends to be, short series of, 3 books, maybe 4 books, and they're excellent, and then we move on with life. It's not a, 15, 20 book dedication of your time. So.
Yeah. Whereas I've never read science fiction, so this was my first foray into the genre, and I read a lot of fantasy, so I can see, there are definitely some similarities, and so far I will say I'm enjoying the book, so there's that, and we'll see how things continue.
Well, I made you read it, so
yeah, that is true.
If it turns out that you hate it, it is my fault.
Well, and I don't have to read anymore, right? So, but
after you finish this book, no. But I will say I am looking forward to reading the rest of the series after the first half that I've read.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm definitely into it for sure. And, I didn't have a problem reading it at all. I just sped through the first half. So I definitely want to see what happens next for sure.
So what are your thoughts on what you've read so far?
So, should we talk about the cover first?
Let's do the cover first. May as well start at the very, very beginning of the book.
So, when you first suggested this book, I was like, okay, I have no idea. I've never heard of it. Whatever. But when I pulled it off the shelf, I was like, oh, it's that one. It's the girl with the weird eye. And then I looked at closely and I'm like, oh, your eye's not weird. It's just the light. And then I read further and spoiler alert, it is a weird eye. So, but that's how, if you would have said to me, it's the book with the girl with the weird eye, mm-hmm. I would have known immediately what you were talking about. But I did not know the title of the book.
I find that's often the case where I'm going, oh yeah, the book with the thing and the thing.
Yep.
Not, oh yes, that book by the title, because I'm terrible with names. Honestly, it's awful.
Also, I like her haircut.
She's got a really good haircut.
Yeah.
We're releasing this podcast on YouTube, so chances are you're actually watching it, so we'll put the cover up on screen. But for anybody who's ignoring their phone and just listening, it's the girl's face. She's got one glowing eye. Her hair is black with a white streak through the bangs. It's kind of a bob cut. A purple background and a bunch of stars. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's very out there galaxy.
It is quite galaxy. I quite like the cover because there's absolutely no question that it is science fiction. And it doesn't do one of the things that is one of my pet peeves, which is when the author's name is bigger than the title of the book.
Yeah.
This may be a running theme, me just dissing font sizes. It's the author's names are a reasonable size, they're the same size, and there's no guessing what the title of the book is.
Yep, that's
true. And
true.
it's an illegible font.
Yep.
That is one of those things with books where I'm going, yes, I am kind of judging you based on that. So.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's quite a nice cover. I quite like it. And the other 3 in the series have kind of similar person's face, big color. I think all of them have weird eyes, don't they?
I'm not sure. I haven't really looked too close.
Take a look at it,
I think the next one has a guy with long hair on it, though. Long white hair.
Right, yes. The next one is, Cal?
Could be.
The first cover is Aurora, or Ari. And second cover is Cal. Third cover is... My brain says Leelander. Like I said, terrible with names. What's that guy's name? The tech guy with the exoskeleton.
Oh, the exoskeleton guy is, is it Leelander?
It's not Leelander. It's something with an L.
Finian.
Finian, okay.
Isn't Finian the exoskeleton guy?
Finian is the exoskeleton. Okay, ignore me. Like I said, bad with names.
I think.
It's Finian.
There should be, at the front of this book, somewhere where it has all the characters.
Yes,
and
that would be very nice.
Who they are, what their title is.
Well, that's what I have with all the chapter markers.
Yeah, but I need it at the beginning.
Do you have a table of contents?
No.
The chapters all have a...
There's no table of contents. I read a graphic novel on the weekend, and it had a picture of each character's face at the beginning of the book.
Oh, that's kind of handy.
With their name and who they were and their relation to other characters, which it was a full page of characters, so it was kind of a lot to keep track of, but sometimes I think that might be nice if there's a lot of characters or they have weird names or weird jobs or like one of the things as I got into this book is that I felt like I was missing details because I don't read a lot of science fiction. So some of the language was a little, you know.
With science fiction, it tends to be a lot of world building and a lot of word terms.
Yeah. And because that's not something I read, it's not like I wouldn't necessarily just figure out that what this is supposed to be just by reading a random word.
That's the thing. The more science fiction you read, the more you get used to the terminology and what they're probably talking about. Yeah. Because, oh my word, the number of different ways that they could say black hole. Like. Yes.
And I think it took me like, at page 50 I wrote, I need a glossary. And then ... page 75, finally, sort of. So, like, yeah.
It sometimes takes a bit with science fiction to kind of get into it. And once you understand the terminology, then you can pay attention to the story.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was trying so hard to figure out what the heck is going on here. And what does this mean? And, so.
Well, I will say the first couple chapters didn't really do themselves any favors.
Yeah.
Because they kept popping from Ty. What was it again?
Was it Ty to Aurora?
Was it Ty to Aurora or... Yes, Ty to Aurora and then current to past.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of hopping around in the first ones.
Yeah.
Which is basically how they kind of covered a lot of information.
Yeah, and because she's from the past and there's still at this point a lot of like questions about what happened and how she got to be where she is now. So that is something I'm really looking forward to figuring out is like, because what she has in her head and what they're telling her
is completely different.
Completely different.
I should say, because I didn't say before, spoilers for the record, they will be happening, so if you don't like spoilers, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast. I mean, stay anyway, but just realize we're going to ruin the book for you.
But then go read it anyways and make your own opinions, right?
It's still a really, really good book.
Yes.
Like, I really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah. I agree.
I did read the book, many, many moons ago. So by the time we picked it, I was going, did I read it? Did I not read it? I'm pretty sure I read it. And I have a vague recollection of what I think might happen, but honestly, even reading the first half, I'm going, I don't remember this. So, I don't think there'll be spoilers in the future, other than the one that I'm... the reason why I stopped reading it to begin with, but...
Well, and if you're like me, like, I read enough books that if I go back to something I've read, I honestly usually, unless it's, like, something that really, really impacted me, I don't remember a lot of the details because there's not enough room for all those books in my head.
No, that's the thing.
So it's okay to reread them. I don't often have time to reread books because there's too many books I want to read. But yeah, so...
That's the thing. There's so much stuff floating around in my head. Trust me. It's gotten shuffled to the back way a long time ago.
Exactly. So it's like a surprise.
Exactly.
So I will say, when I opened it up and I read the dedication, I was like, I really like that. And you might think that it's cheesy, but it started off with, if your squad was hard to find or you're still looking, then this one is for you.
No, and I actually quite like that.
I just thought that was really neat and like... Okay, so, like, obviously, you know that these characters are kind of a ragtag bunch of kids, right? But to me that says they're going to build some relationships. They're going to become a team, for lack of a better word. And, like, they're not always going to hate each other. I hope.
You never know.
Okay.
You never know.
Okay.
I don't like the books where everybody starts off, like, hating each other. Like, get out of my face. Hate you. And then go, oh, happy, buddy, we all go shopping together at the end.
No.
I'm like, that doesn't happen.
And that's not realistic.
You're not changing your personalities, you're just finding ways to coexist and be friends, despite the personalities.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't get to that point where they're like, oh, we're holding hands and skipping into the sunset.
But no, at least they can get along and like each other and work together and, But
I'm sure it's going to happen. They can't be fighting amongst themselves the entire time.
Well, they could, but you can see that sort of happening already, like, that they're like, oh, we've stumbled onto something here that we may be out of our depth, and we don't really know what's going on, but we know that something not good is happening, and we gotta figure this out And we're not going to do that if we're fighting with each other.
No.
Right? Like, you can see that that's sort of starting to happen a little bit.
They're starting to get along, Not everybody, but, one or two people agree to disagree with each other. So, should we get into the plot a little bit?
Yeah. So, you might have to explain a little bit of the plot, because, honestly...
You're a little bit lost.
Well, I wrote, my first line was, I like the dedication, and then, end of first chapter, I am so confused. And I think that sort of continued. Like, one thing I did think was really interesting is that, even though this is the future, the circumstances aren't that different from what is happening in our world today. Mm-hmm. Like, there's still wars, countries fighting, and refugees. And that was something that came out in the plot, that they're initially going to help some refugees, right? Mm-hmm. That was their first sort of mission. And I just thought, wow, that's really interesting. Like,
the world doesn't change.
The world doesn't change. Like, it's just the same things over and over, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I won't be alive in 2380, I don't think, so.
Well, you never know. You could get frozen.
Yes, I could. I hope not. But I don't want to be trapped in cryosleep for 2 centuries. No. So anyway,
yeah.
But.
That's the thing. Basically, this book takes place in space. Started on a space station where it's basically a school for training pilots and squads for interstellar missions. Way back when, they discovered the Fold, which is basically a way to travel in space without having to go the long way around. It's taking a shortcut. So if you imagine the universe as a sheet of paper, rather than having to go from one end of the sheet of paper to the other end of the sheet of paper, it's basically like taking 2 corners and folding them together so that you can just hop across the fold, which is why they call it that. Ingenious, I know. Basically, these kids are being trained to fly in the fold, going to different planets, on diplomatic missions, that kind of thing. There is a limit to how long you can stay in the fold. If you kind of pop in and out of the fold, put it that way. But every time you pop in and out, it affects you. So you really shouldn't be popping in and out for more than about 7 years. That tends to be your shelf life, as it were, before you start having psychiatric issues. This is important because Tyler finds Aria in a ship lost in the fold, and everybody else on the ship is dead. She is in cryosleep, and he pulls her out. They make it back to the space station. And it turns out that she had been floating around out there for 220 years, which is a tad more than the 7 that you're supposed to. So it starts off kind of, she's adjusting, figuring out what the heck's going on with the fact that she is 220 years later than what she thought she was. Everybody that she knows is dead. And she finds out that the planet that she was on her way to before their ship had something happen to it, which we don't know yet, apparently doesn't exist. And the planet that she knows is actually, put it this way, the planet that she's supposed to go to is called Octavia. According to all the records, Octavia does not exist. However, she was a cryptographer?
Yes. Something with maps.
Maps.
Cartographer.
Cartographer.
That's
yes,
what it is.
Cartographer. Not cryptographer. So she had studied the planet quite a bit before she went, so she knows what it looks like. Well, it turns out that the planet that is actually Octavia is considered uninhabitable, has never had any kind of civilization on it, and is marked as basically a don't enter here on pain of death planet. She remembers it as having people. Her father was there, her other people, there were settlers on that planet. So there's a bit of a cover-up happening there. But anyway, on to the other characters. We'll get back to Aria in a minute. Tyler is basically your hotshot whiz kid who, he's the golden boy. That's the best way to sum him up.
Yeah, pretty much. And he knows it.
And he knows it, yep.
Yeah.
He was busy rescuing her, and he missed the draft where basically the top kids in the class get to pick the rest of their squad mates, who they're going to basically fly with for a while. Because he was rescuing her, he missed the draft, so he did not get to pick his squad mates, which basically meant he was left with the bottom of the barrel, which I'm sure he is. You know, Golden Boy loved that. One of them is his sister, his twin sister. She is what they call a face. She's basically diplomatic. She's a diplomat. She knows different languages. If there's a dispute, she deals with it, that kind of thing. Their best friend, Kat, if I'm recalling her name correctly.
Yes, I think so.
She's a pilot, or I believe pilots called aces as well.
Yeah. So I have that page marked where it says what all the jobs are. So Tyler's the alpha. Yeah, aces are responsible for piloting, and Kat is her name.
Yeah, Tyler's the alpha. He's in charge. Finian is a gearhead, which is basically a mechanic.
Yeah.
Cal is tank, which is basically your security, and if you need somebody beat up, you ask him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Zila is science.
Yeah, so brains is what they're...
Brains, yes,
what she's called.
Brains. So if they need something figured out, they go to her. Am I missing anybody?
Nope, that's it.
Perfect.
And then there's Ari,
Ari, yeah. So basically, all of these are misfits. Scarlet and Kat decided to join his squad. They took that option. Finian is a alien, and he's basically a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. He also has an exoskeleton, which I believe comes into play later in the book.
Okay. Not 100% clear what an exoskeleton is. Like, it's...
Basically, how do I explain this?
It's sort of like, my guess would be like some kind of like covering or something.
Think Iron Man and you're almost there.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had in my head. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Cal is also an alien his species of alien is divided into 6 different groups, basically. One of which is Warbreed, and they fight.
And they're kind of hated by the others.
Yes.
The other factions of their...
The Warbreed group is hated by the other alien factions because one of the Warbreed leaders is basically just a rebel going around and blowing people up. So everybody kind of hates Cal just based on the fact that he's of the same group, or same faction as these guys. So he's not going around blowing other people up, he's in school. And then Zila is a sociopath. So she's fascinating.
Yes. She shoots everybody, right? She's the one who shoots everybody?
She shoots people, and she performed an experiment in a lab, basically without anybody's consent, and used people as dummies. She's basically super smart and doesn't understand how humans work and why they won't just let her experiment on them to find out how things tick, which is a tad problematic. So
yeah, it's not like any of these kids are, like, dumb.
No, they're not dumb.
And they're all good at what they do. They're just kind of misfit people, right? Yeah. That nobody else, they're sort of the ones that you're like, I don't want.
In a school where towing the line and following the rules is kind of what everybody does and everybody prefers, they kind of do the opposite.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so there's, like, nothing inherently wrong with any of them, and they're smart and talented and good at what they do.
They just all have a few quirks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are quirky. That is for sure.
But anyway, back to the story. Arya ends up... She gets a note. One of the commanders comes to visit her.
Yeah. She's in the...
infirmary.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the commanders of the station comes to visit her in the infirmary and basically encourages her to leave. Not in a mean way, just in a, you're not safe here, you should probably go now. Oh, and by the way, this docking bay is open, and here's some passcodes, and be gone with you now, scoot scoot.
Well, and she tells her basically what ship to get on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Arya stows away on Tyler's ship. Tyler and his team are sent on a, basically, supply run, which is very insulting to him because he was top of the class, and he feels he's better than that. Turns out the supply run is to a derelict ship that has a bunch of refugees on it. Anywho, cut a long story short, they show up, they do some stuff, they discover Ari are a tad peeved that there's a stowaway. Mm-hmm. And then their ship is attacked, or the derelict ship and their ship are attacked by the... What is that group called?
Is it that group, though, that they're attacked by, or is it...
they're attacked by that group.
Okay. It's probably a word that I cannot pronounce.
Basically, Cal's Warbreed faction, they rebel force from them. The attack is stopped in their... We'll use the term rescue very dubiously. by the General Global Intelligence Agency. Is that it?
Yes, but they're not really rescue.
Yeah. The Global Intelligence Agency is the DIA for short, for the record. They are basically black suits, masks where you can't see anybody's face. There is voice modifiers.
Yeah.
You cannot tell who anybody is. These guys take care of the Warbreed rebels and take Ari into custody. Well, everybody else kind of figures out that, maybe these government guys aren't super nice because they execute all of the refugees on the station and all of the rebels. And it's pretty much definite that they're going to execute all of the crew as well, or the squad. So they make a run for it. When they do, Ari, how would you describe exactly what Ari does?
Well, for lack of a better term, she goes postal.
She goes postal. There's like a power surge kind of thing.
Incinerates the guys who are holding her captive.
Mm-hmm.
Sildrathi.
Sildrathi, that's it.
Is the name of the people. Sorry, that's kind of random. But she has powers.
Yes, she has powers.
For lack of a better way to put it.
Basically, there's a power surge. She incinerates these guys and, bends out the hull of the room that she was in, and her eye starts glowing white. Thus the weird eye on the front cover.
Yes.
That is not just a trick of light.
Nope. It is the way her eye looks.
Yeah. Then they make a run for it anyway, and go to World Ship, which is basically a pirate haven. It is a bunch of ships that have been nailed together, combined, to create basically a small planet, the size of a small moon, where basically, if you want anything, you can get it as long as you have the money for it. But anyway, they go there to see if they can figure out why on earth the government is chasing her and trying to kill her, and what the heck she is doing, and why does she have these powers, and what the heck happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a bit more after that at the Pirate World thing, but we split the book in half, so we kind of stop after we get to Pirate World and they find clothing and shelter and that kind of thing. So I don't want to go into that too much because I have a feeling it'd be better to wait and go into it in part 3.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm going to have to go back and read the last couple of chapters again.
Yeah.
Just to refresh my memory.
There's a fair amount of details once they hit World Ship.
And I think because of all the weird words.
Yeah, I don't find it too bad, because they've been pretty good at explaining it in bits and pieces and adding the info fairly naturally as you read, rather than going, here's all the information, remember it now. Well,
yeah, that's the thing, they don't bombard you with it, but I also feel like somewhere a glossary of terms or cast of characters or something like that might have been helpful just to keep everything straight.
Well, especially when you're dealing with different races. And, oh my word, they got into Finian's family structure.
Yes.
There's,
and he has,
hundreds of cousins and that kind of thing.
And mothers.
And mothers. The way that their family structure is set up is very
weird.
It's very interesting.
He has multiple mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure how that works.
And multiple fathers and grandparents.
Yeah.
And cousins. And, the most complicated family system that you can think of.
So, they go to stay with his cousin, right? Mm-hmm. But it's they're meeting for the first time, but they're related because, your mother is this and my mother is this, and I don't...
Yeah.
It's very random. Almost like they're playing the Mennonite game when they get together. No, just kidding.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of, Hive.
Yeah.
That kind of social structure.
It's very, And I mean, it's not just humans... but also aliens, and then there's different kinds of aliens, and the humans are at war with the aliens, and
there's been at least 4 planets mentioned so far, in
addition
to Earth.
Yes, it's just, I really think a glossary would have been beneficial for somebody like me who's not used to reading this type of stuff, especially, but, I mean, the farther in I get, of course, the more it makes sense, but it's still...
If you can get past the first couple of chapters where they kind of just jump around a bit to give you as much information as possible so you kind of know what you're doing going forward.
And it just kind of throws you in. And was it the first chapter where he's going off on a flight, right? Mm-hmm. And what the heck?
Yeah, they're explained in full in the first 2 pages.
Yeah. And the full part I got. Mm-hmm. That part to me made sense.
Yeah.
It's a fold, you know?
You got the handle. I'm folding.
Yes.
You know what it is.
You can't see my hands, but I'm folding. But yeah, like, all of the world and everything has, like, they don't talk about Earth, which is where I assume Aurora came from.
Mm-hmm. Well, Terran is Earth.
Okay. Yeah, but they don't call it Earth. And then, it's funny because they were using, like, for swear words. What did they say?
The swear words in science fiction books and fantasy books
They're
always
hilarious.
amuse me.
I think I wrote some comments, and all of a sudden at one point they did use the word hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, a real swear word. So I'm just trying to see, because the first couple of chapters I was like circling all the funny words because I was like, that's weird. Now I can't find it. Mother custard. That was one of my favorite ones. And holy cake. Like,
no,
they're food related. I know. But yeah, they made me laugh. Yeah, I literally wrote in my book at the end of chapter 1, I'm so confused.
Mm-hmm.
And Maker, they talk about Maker help me and Maker this and Maker that, which I assume is their way of saying, like, God help me, or oh my God, or whatever.
It's kind of the broad term.
Yeah, so.
You have to assume that each alien also has their own creation stories and that kind of thing. So.
Yes. So, yeah. So definitely the language is something to get used to if you're not used to reading science fiction. Mm-hmm. I will say at the end of the half, I wrote, I'm definitely intrigued and not hating it. So I think that's a good sign.
I'd say so.
It bodes well for the rest of the book, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Who's your favorite character so far?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of actually like Cal, to be honest. Like,
I don't have a character that I hate. Like,
no?
I like all of them.
I kind of don't like Tyler. He's a little too
golden boy, but the thing
cocky
is,
for me.
He's a good contrast to the rest of them.
Yeah.
If it was just a book about him,
yeah, no.
But because it's the rest of them, I think he's a good balance. So it's not like everybody's psychotic. He's actually the normal one. Yeah,
but I like Cal. He's a warrior, but there's something beneath the surface there that I think is like he definitely seems to care about Aurora and like protecting her and figuring out what's going on. I don't know, but at some points, I don't know if it was the dialogue or something, I was like, oh, these kids are so immature.
They're kids.
Yeah, I know.
They're what, 17?
But the thing is, I was like, okay, these kids all have these big, important jobs. They know how to fly spaceships and fix things. And like they all, you know, like they have these big jobs, but they're still just kids and they're so, some of their dialogue and the way they talk about things is just so immature. And I was like, ooh, that's one thing that I was like, you know.
Well, I think that is one of those things that farther along I got, the more I'm like, okay, you're growing up a little bit now. There's less of the, I think it's a device by the author.
And that,
to kind of show character progression as well. Yeah,
because at this point, there are some things where they seem very juvenile. And it's just like, this is a big job. This is a big responsibility that you have, you've taken on, that you've been trained for. Like, they've gone to this Aurora Academy and trained for these positions, right? So,
they are misfits.
I know they're misfits. I know all the things. It's just, do you know what I mean though? Like, it's like, okay, your actions and your words do not match up with the responsibility that you have at this point.
But if it did, they wouldn't be last in the draft.
Yes, that's also true. That's true. Maybe some of the first draft picks were a little more mature.
Well, I'm assuming most of the first draft picks would have been more like Tyler, where he's very much this is a responsibility. Yeah. You must do this.
Very cocky and conceited, and
you keep your uniform nice and tidy and that kind of thing.
I guess we don't get to meet the first draft picks.
I don't think so.
No. It's not about them anyway.
No. I'm assuming they're a very boring lot.
Yeah.
It's
probably not as interesting of a book.
No. I went to work. I did my job. And I retired.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I will say, each of the chapters is a different character. And it kind of rotates through. My favorite so far is Zila. Because her chapters are just so short.
They are short.
It's literally like one of the first was like 2 lines long.
Yes. It's basically just like some thought that she's having about something, and usually not something positive.
No.
Like she's just always annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do like the fact that they're rotating through, so you get everything from everybody's point of view, rather than just like Ari, who's just a little bit lost.
Yes.
Or Tyler, who's very
annoying.
Yeah.
And I do like that throughout now they're starting to have like pages where they explain, okay, these are what the gearheads do, and this is the face, and like, and some of the like organizations and things like that. So that is helpful to me. I marked all those pages so I can refer back to them because I know I will have to. Like, what was this again? So, yeah, but
that's
like...
That's the thing. They do explain. They don't leave you in the dark. Like, I've read some science fiction books where, like, the entire thing I'm going, what on earth is this?
Yeah.
This, at least, there's the pages where it gives you the overview of, you know, this is what a gearhead is, this is what a face is. And... You're not going, face? Why do you keep talking about faces? There's no faces here.
Yeah, exactly. And each team consists of one person from each...
They explain the hierarchy and structure and everything. Yeah.
So, it's definitely, like, it's a good first introduction to science fiction. Well, I will say that. And...
I'm glad you're not hating it.
No, I'm definitely not. Like, I powered through that first half pretty fast.
It's an easy read.
It is. It's not hard to read at all.
And I will say, the pace keeps moving. Like, it's not one of those where it's like, oh my word, I'm going to have to take a break and just catch up.
Yeah.
But it is one where at no point are you like, okay, we're bored, let's move on.
Yeah. No, it's really not. It's like a lot of stuff has happened already in the first half. Like, he rescued Aurora, then they went on this mission, and then all the refugees were killed, and then they escaped, and then now they're in the pirate land, and like that's a lot to pack into half a book, right?
Yeah, it is. So, it packs in a fair amount, but I am looking forward to the second half.
Me too.
I don't know, like I said, I read part of the series before. I think I read first book and half the second book. And I don't remember if it's the second book that I'm remembering, or the second half of the first book.
Okay.
But it gets super interesting.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid that once I finish this, I'm going to want to read the rest of the series right away.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case.
I don't have time to...
I know.
Like, we were talking about this before, how many books are on my pile of books that I want to read.
Yeah, I know.
And I've picked up a few, like, at the store recently or whatever, that I'm like, oh, I really want to read this, but...
Too many books and not enough time.
I know. It's always been my problem.
It's a good problem to have. I'd rather have too many books and not enough time than... no books to read, because that's the worst.
That is the worst. I don't know that I've ever had that problem.
I have.
Yeah. Well...
I read very quickly.
I'm not a slow reader, but I'm a moody reader. So I have to, like... Sometimes it takes me a while to pick a book, because it's like, am I in the mood for this? Is this, like... Yeah. I read based on my mood. A lot.
I do to a point, I don't. Like, it tends to be more, do I want to deal with, like, swords and bows in fantasy, or guns and ships in science fiction, or nonfiction. With nonfiction, I'm a bit more moody.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the few minor things that have been bugging me, like the fact that I was so confused, and, yeah.
Look on the bright side. If you're confused, it means there's something to be confused about.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not
like...
the previous book that we
nothing
did,
happening.
It was like bored out of your skull because there's nothing happening.
Yeah, like I'm going to a club to sing. Okay, now I'm getting beat up. Okay, now I'm going to New York to sign a record contract. Okay, now I'm going to sing in some clubs. Okay, now I'm going to get my nails done.
Okay, now I'm eating breakfast. We don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
At least this, there's implosions and mystery and
stuff happening.
Floating ships in space for 220 years.
Yes.
So.
People coming back from being cryo-frozen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit more interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah.
Floating around in the void for 2 centuries.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's basically it for part 2. Other than I'm really looking forward to part 3.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so...
there's so many mysteries where I'm like, explain, please.
I know. Like, what happened to the rest of her people? How did she survive? But also, why is it called the Aurora Academy? Is that related to her name being Aurora, or is that coincidental?
It's coincidental from what I understand.
Okay.
Because she said at one point that, like, every class that she knew, before she was frozen, had an Aurora in the class.
Okay.
There was a star, I think, called Aurora.
Okay, so it was
I believe the star is called Aurora because they're orbiting the Aurora star.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Aurora Academy.
Yeah.
As far as I know, right now it's just a coincidence.
Okay. So it was just a common name.
Yeah.
That. Okay.
I mean, it's a decent name.
Yeah. I just was curious if, like, is she going to come out as some sort of, like, not necessarily savior, but, like, is she the long-lost leader of the world? Or, like, is there something significant about the fact that she... Well, obviously there's something significant, but is she, like... Trying to think of an example. I don't know. And I don't want to say, like, she's the savior that comes to save the world, but do you know what I'm
trying to... Is she important to everyone, or just important to this small part?
Yes. Is there something significant about her character to the entire universe?
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
What I'm wondering.
Because everybody else in cryosleep on the ship that she was found on was dead.
Yeah.
She was still in cryo, and she was alive.
Yeah.
People do not have superpowers in this universe, despite the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
She had powers.
She has some kind of...
So, how the heck did she get powers? Because she did not have them originally.
Yeah.
And what exactly are them? Because right now, they are not controlled at all. Mm-hmm. Like, she sleepwalks and leaves messages.
Yeah, and she doesn't...
hijack spaceships.
She doesn't know that she can do it or what she can do. Like, she's not aware or in control of it at all.
No, not at all.
So...
And her hair was not white before she went to cryosleep. So.
Yeah. And then the weird thing happened with her eye.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's why I was wondering if the Aurora was significant, because it's like...
Did she absorb the power of the sun, the stars, or something?
Yeah.
She was floating around in for 220 years?
It's like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that one.
Okay. So, they time travel, right? And they time travel into the future, and they're really famous in the future, and their music, like, saved the world.
Sounds realistic. Is that Run, Rose, Run?
Okay, I know it's not realistic. It's a dumb buddy comedy, but it's hilarious. Anyway, but like that, right? So they go into the future and they see, like, they have this impact and everybody knew them and, like, yeah, their song saved the world. And
yeah.
Is that what's happening here?
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to the second half because I need to finish the rest of the series too. But I'm curious to see if they explain a little bit more of that stuff, because when nobody else in the universe has superpowers and you do, and you can't control them, I want to know how you got them.
Yeah.
And can I have some too?
And it seems like she doesn't know how she... Well, because I don't think she had them before.
As far as I can tell, she remembers getting on the ship to go to Octavia, and then basically waking up in the infirmary. Yeah. After Tyler falls on the ship. So
she didn't have those powers before, so obviously, like, something happened, right? Like, I need to know what happened. And I need to know what happened. It better be in this book.
See, that's the problem I have. Where, like, we decided to stop right when we got to the part with the space pirates. I'm like,
I know. But now, tonight you can go and finish the book if you really want to.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that is my plan.
I
need to know, because I need to finish this book so I can start on the rest of the series.
Yes.
Because I stopped reading the rest of the series originally because, spoilers, the one planet started taking over stuff. Okay. And I really wanted to sculpt it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was driving me crazy, so I stopped reading the book because, like, I didn't have time to sculpt it at that time. Mm-hmm. So I'm not doing it. And then I've never had a chance to pick it up again. Mm-hmm. So...
I know. I'm afraid I'm going to have to continue reading the series after this.
And see, that is why I don't read a whole lot of adult science fiction. Because so many of them are, it's not that they're not bad, or not that they're not good, but because I want to read the entire series and want to finish. And I'm having trouble finishing a 3-book series, never mind a 15 to 20 book series.
Oh, I know.
So I just kind of go, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it.
And the thing with series is, too, like, if they're all out, you almost have to read them all. Mm-hmm. Like, if you wait, like, a year in between, it's like, well, what happened in the first book, right?
That's kind of the problem, because I read that one, because it's one of my favorite authors. I read that one when it first came out.
Yeah, and then...
So...
Yes.
Yeah. It's a process.
I know, like, somebody came in yesterday, and they were like, okay, we read this first book in this series, we put the second one on hold, why don't you have the third one? And I'm like...
Hasn't been published yet.
The third one's not coming out till next month. Oh, okay.
At least it's only a month.
Yes, yeah.
That's my problem. I read that book when it first came out.
Yes.
Like, within a month of it being published. And then it's like, oh, now I have to wait a year. It's just...
I know. I hate that.
There are some series where I'll just wait.
Yeah.
I'll just wait.
Wait till they're all out.
Wait till they're all out and then read them all in one fell swoop. Because, like, this series, if I recall correctly, because it's written kind of as a group, it's not like one or two characters.
Mm-hmm.
That group continues to roll through three books.
Yeah.
If I read the summaries on the back correctly.
They're not new characters.
Yeah. Something like that. I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
Something like one of her other series, which I forget the title of. The first book focused on these two people. Second book focused on these two people.
Mm-hmm.
And they were connected, but you didn't really find out until the third book how everybody kind of tied together.
There's like a different main character in each.
Exactly.
A lot of inspirational fiction is like that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
so those I find a little bit easier just kind of pick up and put down when you have to.
Yeah. I do that when I read Louise Penny because I love her so much that...
Oh, we need to do Louise Penny book.
We should, because she is the best. Anyway.
I haven't read anything by her.
Oh, I think you might like her, actually. Like, some of her characters for sure you will like.
There's a pretty decent chance.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, when she has a new book, like I have all her books that are out.
Mm-hmm.
I have not read them all because I cannot live in a world where there are no more Louise Penny books for me to read.
You're gonna have a really hard come down one day.
I know I am.
You're gonna go into full mourning.
Yes.
Or like the classic, like Victorian, like I only dress in dark.
Yes.
Like, I dress in black until we had 6 months, and it's in grey, and then after that, purple is fine.
Like I don't want to not have a Louise Penny, so now I'm actually like 3 books behind because of that. So the last 2 books in her series, and I think there is a new one coming out, so now I can probably read another one. Plus, she wrote one with Hillary Clinton.
Oh, right.
And I haven't read that one either, but that one is separate.
That came out a while ago, didn't it?
In fall, I think.
Yeah.
I have it. I do have it.
And we're back with part 3 of Aurora Rising.
But anyway.
So, now we've finished the book, so we're going to share some
so I always...
about this one. So I'll start by saying, dang it, I have to read the next one. Yeah, that's kind of my first initial thing that I wrote down.
But
and suddenly an urge to watch Star Trek, which I
No.
never had an urge to watch any sort of science fiction TV before.
Like, I've got 2 series right now. All the books.
Yeah, suddenly I was like, oh, I want to see some spaceships and floating. Like,
just can't bring myself to read the last one because they're so good. I'm like, I don't
want to be done. I know.
Which was surprising because
completely irrational.
This is something I was
the book nerd problem, though.
So
like, really.
Give it that.
So,
it was good enough that I want to read more.
That's it for part 2.
Having said
And
that,
I guess we'll see you all after we finish the book. And in my case, probably the rest of the books in the series.
That just has to show you how
try not to ruin it.
subjective reading is.
But yeah, we'll see you at part 2.
Everybody has their opinions, right? So, yeah. In the last half of this book, I was definitely getting some dystopian vibes. Mm-hmm. Some parts of it reminded me a lot of the Mad Adam trilogy by Margaret Atwood.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
I really liked that series. It's 3 books. When they get to Octavia and all the plant growth and all of that, and the people, it just kind of reminded me of the Mad Adam, like, outdoorsy. I don't know why it made me think of it, because they're really not very similar at all, but
sometimes it's just feeling of the book.
Yeah.
You can't put it
there was just something about it that made me think of that series as well. Mm-hmm. But when they got to Octavia, I thought, oh, this is getting kind of eerie. I was a little bit like, I don't know if I can keep reading this because this is...
It gets a little bit... I don't want to say gory.
It's not
gory.
Gory. It's creepy.
But it gets a little bit more creepy horror-ish.
Yeah. So the chimps, for sure, I did not enjoy.
They surprised me the first time I read it and go, what? Excuse me?
Yeah. And the plants that seem to have thoughts of their own. Mm-hmm. It was a little creepy. Not creepy enough to deter me from going further into the series, but yeah.
Just if you're thinking that it's a happy little sci-fi and everybody's flying around in spaceships, no, it's not. There is some horror-esque elements to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to term it as horror, because it's
not horror. It's hard to...
Dystopian.
Yeah, I think dystopian is actually, like, I've read a fair amount of dystopian fiction, mm-hmm. and that's really what I was feeling in the last half of this book. Yeah. When they got to Octavia, I was like, yeah, this is...
That's the thing, the entire book kind of takes a turn when they get to Octavia.
Yeah, it really does.
Because before that, it's like heists and space pirates and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they get to Octavia and find out kind of a bit more what's actually going on.
Yes.
And why Octavia hasn't shown up on any searches, and basically people don't think it exists.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of, everything kind of clicks into place a little bit more, I found.
Yeah. And there was a lot of it that was surprising, too. Like her dad being alive, or not alive, I guess, but being there.
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, like, I couldn't stop when I got to I was like, I gotta keep reading. We were in the car, and I was like, nobody talk to me.
Don't bother me, children.
Yeah.
I started reading the second book of the series at 12:30 last night, and I'm going, this is a really, really bad idea, but I have to do it.
I know, I gotta get my hands on a copy now. Not that I don't have other reading that I should be doing, but...
Yeah, but it's just so good. That's the thing.
You gotta keep going. So...
It's not like this book has... It's a little bit difficult doing the first book in the series, because you can't exactly go, this is how it ended.
Yeah, because also...
It continues.
It does continue. It doesn't wrap up like a nice little tiny package, happy ending, la la la, they lived happily ever after. Because there's more coming.
Exactly.
And not all series do that, right? Like, some series, the book concludes and then the next book starts. This one does not do that. So it's not like, now we're at the end, now everything has been resolved.
Exactly.
Right? There's a lot. That's, I think, why I need to keep reading. Because I have to know what happens next.
Exactly. They find out that on Octavia, there is plant life. It's probably the easiest way.
A psychoplant.
Well, it's basically an entire network of plants, kind of a hive mind kind of thing going on, that takes over people.
Yeah.
If the spores, touch you or get into your bloodstream or anything like that. So she finds out that her father, who's supposed to be dead 200 years ago, is alive-ish. He's not alive, he's not himself, but he has...
His body has been taken over by this plant.
Exactly. The body's been taken over by plants, so he's a plant zombie, I think might be the easiest way to describe it.
And also the fact that he was princeps.
Mm-hmm.
That was a surprise to me.
Yeah, that he was actually one of the leaders.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally expecting that.
No, that was totally unexpected.
But yeah, on Octavia, everybody's, I shouldn't say everybody, all of the original settlers and animals and that kind of thing are overgrown with plants, like there's flowers coming out of their ears and that kind of thing, and they have been incorporated into this hive, which is really creepy the first time around, but that is why I stopped reading the series originally, because, not that I was creeped out by it, no, because I loved it too much. That's the problem. I started working on an outline for a sculpture yesterday based on this book.
So when you envision what the plant life looks like, what do you see?
Pink, blue, and green.
Okay.
Quite tropical. Basically, I don't know how to explain it. If by the time this podcast goes out, I have the sculpture done, which would be a minor miracle, I will post a picture of it with the YouTube video. But moss, green, vines,
okay.
Everything's quite bright.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah. It's not like dark jungle. It's a lot more overgrown tropical flowers, succulents, vines.
Okay. Succulents is what I picture in my head.
The succulents, partially because they specifically said succulents. I really, 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 really want to sculpt one of the chimps.
Oh, those chimps were terrifying to me.
Those chimps are great. I love those things. It's a chimp with flowers and stuff.
Oh, I know, but it attacked them and it was scary.
Yeah, that's the kind of sculpting that I do, so it's...
Yeah, no, I know.
It just gave me too many ideas, so I ended up stopping reading it, because I have 5 sculptures rattling in my head just from book 1.
I would love to see your interpretations.
I will be sure to show it to you.
Yes.
So I didn't have time to do anything with it, so I kind of went, no, we're just going to put this series away for now, and we'll come back to it later.
So have you not read the other 2?
I have not read the other 2. I think I read maybe the first 2 chapters of the second one.
Okay.
But that's about as far as I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that you stopped reading at a certain point, but somehow in my mind I still thought that you had read all 3 of them.
No.
I don't know why I thought that, but...
No, I didn't. There's some books that give me so many ideas, so I'm just going, I can't do this right now. I have to put it down and move on, but their descriptions of it spot on. Brilliant imagery. Like,
Yeah.
no complaints in terms of that.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're giving me enough ideas that I can sculpt from it, that's enough. That's good.
What I really liked, what I saw happening in the second half was as they got to know each other better, they started seeing things in each other that they couldn't see in themselves, right? Like,
exactly.
I think it's Tyler says to Zila, like, you are really good at, like, knowing other people, but you don't know yourself. Something like that.
I think it's something along the lines of, you know how machines work, you know how computers work, you know how biology works, you know all this stuff, but you don't understand how people work.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, Scarlett and Finn, and she could see in him a need for, like, what was it now?
What was it?
Asking for help.
Yep.
Like, he couldn't ask for help, but he needed help, and he didn't know, like, it was embarrassing for him to ask for help, but she could see that in him and figured out a way to be able to help him. And I loved the way that their relationships built in the second half of the book and how they started to, like, lean on each other and trust each other. And
there's a lot of character development in the second half, that's for sure. And I'm interested to see how that progresses throughout the rest of the series too, because they're kind of pairing them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that Cal and Aurora are kind of paired, although to be fair, I don't think that's Aurora's choice right now.
Well,
Cal's basically gone.
Having said that,
be around.
Having said all of that, that was the one thing I did not like, because it was like the mate thing, which seems to come up a lot in fantasy, like bonding, for lack of a better term.
People, whether or not you like them.
You see that in Sarah J. Maas's books, and like Twilight has that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, oh, you see this person and instantly this is the person that you're supposed to be with, whether that person wants to be with you or not. That's, you know, like...
That's the thing. There's a lot of books that are like that.
Yes.
And I do think that this one handled it, like, not super thrilled that it's in there to begin with, but they did handle it well. It's because Cal basically told Aurora, like, this is what this is. I've bonded with you, you're my human, and... Mate. Sure, I hate that word.
I know.
You're my human, and I am aware of the fact that you do not feel the same way, you do not have the same instincts, so I will not bother you. He very much approached it in a, we're going to be together forever, or I'm never going to see you again kind of way.
Well, he kind of said, once this is over, I'm going to take myself out of the situation.
Yeah.
Right? To which she said, don't I get a choice in this also?
Exactly.
You know, so
there, she's kind of going, hey, I've never heard of this. I didn't know your species existed until a week ago. Yeah. How about we just give it a minute?
Yeah. And
which I think is fairly mature response as opposed to the way it's handled in, say, Twilight.
Yeah.
But I am quite curious to see how that's going to progress over all three books.
I just feel like that has been done before.
Oh, to death.
A lot. And I just, really? This again? You know?
It is kind of annoying in that it's, really? Do we have to do the fated mate thing again? Because, frankly, that leaves half of the fun in a book is, will they, won't they? Are they going to die? Are they going to survive? Are they going to accomplish their goals? And, you know, ultimately, probably, because, well, that tends to be the point of most books.
Yeah.
But when it's like, oh, no, they're going to, and that's just decided from the beginning, it's kind of irksome. So I am curious to see, because the thing is, I've read these authors before. They can throw one heck of a twist at you.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. There's also that. It's just, that part of it, I just felt like, ugh.
It's one of those, like, devices where it's like, do you have to use this one?
Yeah.
Why can't you pick something else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At least throw in a twist.
Yeah. So maybe there will be a twist.
It could be a twist. It's the same characters progressing through the rest of the books as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's these two characters for this book, different two characters for the next book. It does progress with the same group of characters, so...
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of potential for things changing. I mean, there was the twist that I didn't remember from the last time that I read it, where I was kind of going, I don't remember this happening, and now I'm sad.
Which was?
Cat.
Oh, I know. I wrote in my notes, I refuse to believe that she's really gone.
I know. I keep going, how can they get her out of this?
I know.
A little bit of context. Cat had a rip in her spacesuit. Some of the spores got into her bloodstream, and she is now part of the plant people. Octavia. I don't know what else to call her.
I know.
But
She was attacked by a chimp.
She was attacked by a chimp. There's a ripped her suit. Spores got in, and now she's plant person. But I refuse to believe that she's not coming back somehow.
She has to. That has to be one of the further on twists.
It has to be, because they were setting up her and Tyler to be a couple.
And also, why didn't they put her plant face on one of the covers?
Oh, that would be super cool.
Wouldn't that have been awesome?
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But
so, yeah, I know. That part also, I was like, no, not cat.
I was quite annoyed by it, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm still living in denial. If she's actually gone, I can see the authors doing it. They have before.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't want it.
I know. I also liked, so they went to a ball. They were trying to retrieve an artifact, and I cannot remember his name, but they went to this ball at this, like, guy's place.
Yeah.
And, like, basically it sounds like when you walk into his house, and it was like an underwater aquarium thing, and I was like, oh, I want to live there.
Like, the walls were aquariums up into a dome, and then it kind of faded out so that it was like the sky, so you could kind of see the galaxies, but then there's like aquariums all the way down.
Yeah, and fish, and
again, like, the imagery in this book is just amazing.
It really is.
Like, I kind of wish that was when I read that scene, it got to the point where I was going, this needs to be a TV show.
I wrote down, I think that this should be a movie.
Like, the sets that you could do with this would be amazing.
Not only would it be just cool to watch, but also I feel like if I could see it, I might understand it better also.
That does to know.
Because there was still, like, there's still a lot of things that I'm like, huh? What? And my brain is like not used to science fiction. I don't remember anymore, but, like, just some of the words, right? And my brain's just, it doesn't think in a science fiction way. And so by the end, it was much, much better. The first few chapters for sure were the worst because I was so confused. But by the end, it was better.
By the time you read the third book, you'll be an old man and go, what, you don't understand this?
Yeah.
Please.
Who doesn't get this? How do you
not know that the Rasham existed? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yes, there was a lot of made-up words in this book also.
Yes. The one that gets me every single time is what Cal calls Aurora.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Beshme or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I just read it every single time it's bechamel. So now I'm hankering for a good bechamel sauce. It's really not great. But I just every time just bechamel.
Every time I read one of those made up words, I noticed that I was trying to read them like backwards in case it was like a real word that they just wrote backwards.
Because they did the trick in the first or second time that she has an episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, are these just real words that they put backwards to make them into new words?
Yeah. Some of the words are interesting, that's for sure.
Yes. Yes, they are. Also, I didn't realize until, like, way close to the end, the black pages where it gave all, like, the facts and the information, that was Magellan. Her, what is it called, the Uniglass?
Uniglass, yeah, which is basically a tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize... I like Magellan.
He is fun.
He pops up at interesting times, right? And then, yeah. So I thought, I don't know why I didn't put two and two together there, but...
Use the Microsoft Paperclip.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'm working on the second book, and probably finish that tonight.
I know. I'm gonna find one, and I'm going to read it.
Yeah. So.
Because I gotta know. I gotta know what happens.
It's one of those things where I'm kind of going, I want to read it. I'm going to have like a notebook beside me the entire time, just sketch up sculptures as I go, because they've just got such great ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, their world building is really incredible.
It is.
Like,
they do a top-notch job of it, like, no complaints there.
And the fact that, like, they started off in one place, and then they went to the refugee place, and so there was another place there, and then they went to the pirate place.
Pirate place, yep. World ship.
Yeah, and then they were kind of floating around, and then they were on Octavia. Like, so there's all these different worlds that they've had to build separate from each other also.
Well, that's the thing, they haven't built just one.
No.
They mixed and matched and tied them all together.
Yeah. So
that it's not like, wow, did we, like, time travel? Because this doesn't seem...
Yeah, they're all completely different, right? Like, there's nothing similar about any of them, really. And it's just amazing how they came up with all of that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, one of the things I like about the book is you're not stuck in the fold the entire time.
No.
It's nothing worse than a science fiction book where you spend 95% of your time on a spaceship just traveling from point A to point B, and there's not a whole lot happening on that spaceship. If the entire thing is set on a spaceship, yeah, sweet, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
There are other series that they did, the Illuminate Files. Mm-hmm. The first one's entirely on a spaceship, and it's brilliant. I would highly recommend anybody read it. But the ones where all the action happens on worlds, the ones where they're just off-world floating around, is kind of get a little bit boring.
Yeah, and the fact that they're able to describe it in a way that you can picture it, and it's detailed, but it's not too detailed, that it doesn't get boring with all of their descriptions, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I don't know, it's fantastic writing as far as that part of it goes. Some of the dialogue for me was a little
Some of the dialogue, it's quite teen.
Yeah.
Which...
Obviously, it's written for teens, right?
Yes.
I'm not a teen. Not been a teen for a while. So, there's that. But yeah, like, well done.
It is. It really is. Anything negative to say about it?
I didn't really write down anything negative, or like, aside from some of the dialogue, and, I mean...
And not having the second one on hand right immediately.
Yes. I know. Couldn't believe it was on our shelf, ready for me to take out. How could it not be there?
I know. I mean, I would say, if you're not sure about science fiction, and I know science fiction can be intimidating because they build an entire world, and the terminology is different, and like just the basic stuff.
Yeah.
If you're looking to read science fiction without delving too deep into that, honestly, I would recommend the Aurora cycle because it is excellent.
I would agree.
Just enough detail without being overwhelming, but while still actually feeling like it's not just Earth, but moved to a different planet.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. As somebody who's never really read science fiction, I think, this was enough to do it for me. I'm definitely going to explore science fiction a little bit more. Something I've never really been like, no, I don't like it. I'm not going to read that. But I think one thing I would say is towards the end when they got to Octavia, that part for me was a little bit like, it's getting a little creepy. I don't know. And the whole thing with Kat was definitely a no for me. So
that's the thing. I was just fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it is fascinating, but it's also like,
I don't know. You read a lot of true crime.
I know. But I think the thing that bugged me was that, like, seeing the transformation in Kat, like, they get into your brain, right? And for me, that's like they're taking over your person, like who you are, your core.
It's more
right?
personality changes that freak you out rather than
so. And the chimps,
physical changes.
I didn't love the chimps.
The thing that got me with the chimps is they described it at one point as their mouth was open and you could see like the pink leaves and stuff like that down the throat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to sculpt it.
Yeah, I get that, but they weren't friendly chimps.
No, they were not friendly chimps. I would argue most chimps are not friendly, even regular human ones. The regular human chimps. We're getting into evolution.
The regular chimpy chimps.
The regular chimpy chimps. I did find it rather hilarious that Finn kept going the chomps or the
chomps or the chimps.
Chimps was, I think, the best. We need chimps.
I like Finn. He's funny.
He's the right level of sarcastic without being one of those people where it's like, wow, you're just a horrible human being.
Yeah, just shut up already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's... I also like that. I don't know. Did you have anything that you really didn't like?
No, I don't, other than the fact that I don't have the third book immediately available.
Off the record, this is a complete 180 from the previous book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm biased. It's one of my favorite authors.
Yep.
And I really like sci-fi. So, when it comes to sci-fi, like, if you got the world building down, got the storytelling, and if you have an even somewhat creative or interesting twist in there, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the things I mused about in our previous episode was two people writing a book together and how that works. In this case, it works very well, but I still am puzzled as to how two people write a book together.
That's the thing. With the other one, it felt as though, when you read it, it felt like two people wrote it.
Kind of, yeah.
With this one, it doesn't feel like two people wrote it. It
doesn't. No, it's very cohesive. And I've read other books where there's been two authors, and they have been good books. I just don't understand how they do it.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting to find out, definitely.
Yeah. So, but these two obviously work really well together.
Well, they've done the entire Illuminae series together, and both of them have written science fiction before, I know that much. And Amy Kaufman has also written with, I want to say, Megan Spooner.
Okay.
Which, again, excellent books.
She's also written some junior books, I think.
She's also written 2 junior books, yes.
Because I just saw something in the catalog the other day when I was looking up something. I was like, oh, Amy Kaufman. I want to say it was something girly, though.
I don't think so.
No? Mm-hmm.
She's written... I forget what the series is called. There's a series where they all have ball gowns on the front. It is a very stereotypical YA cover.
Oh, okay.
Those look quite girly.
Okay.
But again, excellent.
Yeah.
Because I'm not biased at all. But again, world building, nailed it.
Yeah.
And with that one, the series is set up differently. It's actually a really good series as standalones in the series, if that makes sense. This first one is 2 characters. Second one is 2 different characters, completely different world.
Okay.
I shouldn't say completely different world. Same universe, different planet.
Okay.
And then the third one, same universe, different planet, but then it also ties in the characters from the second and first books.
Okay.
So it's kind of good as a standalone, but also great as a series.
Okay.
But yeah, no, if I recall correctly, the junior fiction ones that she has are a little bit more like Elementals.
Yes,
type of thing.
that is. I'm just looking here in the book. The Elementals trilogy for children.
Is that actually what it's called?
Yep.
Oh, wow. And on my brain.
The Starbound trilogy with Megan Spooner, and the Unearthed duology with Megan Spooner.
Yes. The Unearthed duology is good. The Starbound one, I think I'm still waiting for the third one of that.
Okay.
I want to say there's supposed to be a third one that comes out, I want to say next year.
Okay.
It's excellent.
Did you know, collectively, Amy and Jay stand 12.5 feet tall?
I did not.
That's what it says here. That's a fun fact.
Well, isn't he... Yeah, we have a fun fact here.
Yes.
He is 6'7".
Yes, he's very tall.
He's very tall.
Has approximately 11,500 days to live.
And he does not believe in happy endings, which could explain why I like the book so much.
Yeah. It's also, it says here, I didn't read this before, I should have, because it's really interesting. They live in Melbourne, Australia, with 2 long-suffering spouses, 2 rescue dogs, and a plentiful supply of caffeine. They met thanks to international taxation law, and stuck together due to a shared love of blowing things up and breaking hearts.
See, now that sounds like fun.
See, I could see that. You could get behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense to me why you like these books.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have a type. It includes.
I think we all do. Though.
Oh yeah, like I'll take a stab at pretty much anything.
Yeah,
but there's definitely if I get to pick of any book in the entire world, which is the beauty of being a librarian, this is definitely what I'm going to go for.
See, and I never would have picked this. Like I've seen this book and I'm like, no, I'm not interested.
And then I'm going, I'm going to make you do it.
Jess is like, I'm going to make you read. That's okay. I'm going to get my payback. I'm going to make you read Jane Austen.
Fun fact, I do not like Jane Austen.
No, but we agreed.
Yes, we'll do it, Jane Austen. So, I have to.
I'm going to pick the one I think you'll like the best.
Which one?
Emma. Let's go to Matchmaker.
I want to say...
She's a little cynical, I think.
Is there a movie?
There was a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Ah, yes, I think I saw the first quarter of that one, and then I noped out.
I think you'll probably nope out of any Jane Austen, to be honest.
Well, I don't know if I noped out because of Jane Austen or because of Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean,
it could be either or.
It's a toss-up between the two. I'm sure she's fine. It's just not my style. Like, I don't like straight romance.
Nope.
That's the thing. Like with this one, it's a little bit of thriller, it's a little bit of mystery, it's a little bit of romance. It's all sci-fi.
But it also surprises me because Jane Austen is usually strong female characters.
I'm all for strong female characters. I just don't like when there's only one storyline. Because it's gets the man. Now, got the man, it's the end. I don't know. I didn't mind Little Women.
Okay.
I have not seen the new movie, so I can't judge the book versus the movie, but...
Oh, at first, I saw it in the theater, and the first, half of the movie, I was like, I hate this. This sucks. This is the worst. The old version with Winona Ryder is way better. This is terrible. Why am I here? Can I leave now? No, I can't. By the end, I was like, I love this movie. It's so good. And I'm going to watch it again. Let's watch it again right now.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, see, that's exactly the reason why we're doing the format that we're doing, and we're splitting it up. It's because the same thing with books.
Yeah.
Halfway through, you're going, get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, you're going, give me more.
Yeah.
So,
or in this case, halfway through, you're like, give me more. And by the end, you're like, give me even more.
Give me even more. How dare you take it away?
Yeah. But it is, I do like reading half of it, and then talking about it, and then reading the second half. Because it's, like, you just never know.
You pick up on different things, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, some of the stuff that you mentioned, I forget what it was exactly in the first half. I'm going, oh, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
And then for the second half, I'm going, oh, yeah, no, Janine was right.
Yes!
Mark that on the wall.
The one time.
Yeah. No, it's... Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say about it other than it's really good and everybody should read it. It should be required reading. So...
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's spacey without being too spacey. Mm-hmm. It's science fiction without being aggressively so. And it's approachable.
Yeah.
Like, if anybody's looking to get into science fiction, start with YA.
Yeah. As a person who formerly thought they hated science fiction, definitely check this one out. That's what I have to say about that.
Would you like to say some fun facts?
Well, I think we did a few.
We kind of went over Jay Kristoff's fun facts a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got a fun space fact.
Yes, share that.
In 2019, the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration produced the first ever image of a black hole, which lies at the center of the M87 galaxy 55 million light-years from Earth. The image of it, which some of you may have seen, it's a bright ring with a dark center, which is the black hole's shadow. It basically looks like a glazed donut.
It really does.
It really does.
And now, I need a donut.
I'm sorry.
Also, I wouldn't mind traveling in space a little bit.
That's the thing that always gets me. Like, I've asked multiple people, if you had the opportunity to go to space, would you do it? And most of them are going, no. And I'm like, why?
That would have been my response before I read this book.
10 out of 10 would go to space.
Like, just imagine just floating around up there.
Yeah.
On a spaceship. Like, how fun is that?
It'd be an absolute blast.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people wouldn't want to go.
I agree with you now.
It's space.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I'm a space nerd, but come on.
I'm gonna have to join forces with Elon.
Well, you got 3 billionaires to pick from.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of them will take you up.
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope we live long enough that spaceflight for regular humans is a thing. Well, I mean, think about it. The people that are like 90, 95 now, they grew up and they were born in a time when air travel was a luxury.
Yeah. And
only the rich could afford it.
That's true.
And it was incredibly dangerous. Now, you just hop across the ocean and it's fine. I won't say it's any more affordable because that's debatable in itself.
Yeah.
But it is commonplace.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not completely off the rails to think that...
Yeah, but now I have to live till I'm 95?
Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah.
You could live till you're 105, that'd be worse. No, it depends. But that's, I think, the thoughts for that book. We have to read the rest of the series. We won't be doing a podcast episode on the rest of the series unless it's so darn good we just can't not tell anybody about it, which is entirely possible.
True.
If there's just a random Aurora Cycle series podcast, then you know why.
Yeah.
We just could not do it.
But also, if you've read the series, or this book in particular, tell us what you thought.
Or this author or author combination.
Yeah.
Definitely. We want to know your opinions. You've heard our opinions. You may disagree or agree to your heart's content. But, yeah, let us know what you thought. And if you think there's any other books that we should review for a podcast, because at this point, there's not a whole lot of books so far that we've picked that it's always just kind of been a case of you like it or I like it.
Mm-hmm. Or we would like to read this one. So
if you have any books where you think we should definitely do it, let us know. We're open to suggestions.
Absolutely.
So, anything else, Janine?
I think that's all for me.
Alright. See you on the next page. Bye.
Bye.